What if the only way to save your family is to sign a contract with the very entity that destroyed them, and the price of their survival is the one thing you swore never to surrender: your own future? In Bargain with Fate, Annabel Chase delivers a paranormal women's fiction novel that transforms the fey bargain trope into a searing exploration of maternal sacrifice, proving that in realms where magic demands payment, love is the only currency that never depreciates. This isn't merely another urban fantasy with high-stakes deals. It's a tense, emotionally precise narrative where every clause carries generational weight, and intimacy requires negotiating with forces that view human devotion as leverage. From the first ink-scented narration, listeners are plunged into a world where promises are binding, and every whispered yes feels like both salvation and sentence. Perfect for fans of morally complex paranormal fiction and stories where heroism looks like endurance rather than victory, this audiobook serves up relentless tension, unflinching emotional honesty, and a protagonist whose journey from desperate mother to sovereign negotiator resonates with anyone who's ever traded pieces of themselves to keep others whole. When hedge witch Mara Voss discovers her daughter's life is tethered to a fading bloodline curse, she expects to fight, not to be summoned by the Fey Lord Calum, who offers a cure in exchange for 10 years of servitude in his twilight court. But as Mara navigates gilded halls laced with traps and ancient grudges, she realizes this bargain isn't about saving her child, it's about reclaiming agency from a system designed to consume women's labor as tribute. Chase masterfully avoids reducing Mara to sacrificial martyr or Calum to seductive villain. Instead, she crafts a relationship rooted in radical transparency within constraint, where consent is negotiated through mutual recognition of power imbalance, and intimacy emerges from honoring resistance rather than demanding compliance. The audiobook narration amplifies this emotional alchemy, capturing Mara's fractured resolve softening into fierce clarity, and Calum's guarded intensity revealing depths beneath regal composure. You don't just hear the deal unfold, you feel the seismic shift of a woman learning that true power lies not in avoiding the bargain, but in rewriting its terms from within. What elevates Bargain with Fate beyond typical fae fiction is its nuanced portrayal of magical contracts as systemic exploitation rather than mystical inevitability. Mara isn't merely fulfilling obligations, she's confronting how centuries of feminine sacrifice were codified into law, challenging the notion that protection requires self-erasure. Calum doesn't reward her through affection, he creates space where her defiance is valued as strength, honoring her autonomy even as his own beliefs crumble. Their dynamic evolves through acts of radical reciprocity, sharing truths during midnight councils that bypass performance, setting boundaries that protect both duty and dignity, and defending each other from courtiers who mistake compliance for loyalty. Supporting characters add vital texture: fellow servants whose silence masks rebellion, elders whose wisdom carries complicity, even the court itself, rendered as living archive whose mirrors reflect not faces but intentions. Every interaction reinforces the novel's core truth. In worlds built on extraction, tenderness is sabotage, and love is the ultimate act of reclamation. Even the magical mechanics serve thematic depth, with binding spells mirroring emotional integration, and oaths becoming metaphors for conscious choice over inherited debt. For audiobook listeners, this production is an immersive sensory descent into elegant dread. The narrator embodies Mara and Calum with remarkable distinction. Mara's voice carries steel wrapped in dawning sovereignty, while Calum's resonant timbre trembles with suppressed emotion beneath disciplined cadence, making their chemistry palpable even in conflict. Sound design enhances atmosphere without overwhelming intimacy. Distant harp notes marking emotional transitions, rain against stained glass during vulnerable confessions, the hushed rustle of parchment syncing with heartbeats during quiet exchanges, all anchor mythic stakes in tangible reality. Pacing mirrors the rhythm of negotiation, deliberate during moments of strategy and reflection, then surging with urgency as external threats force irreversible choices. Whether you're navigating daily commutes or lying awake in darkness, the audiobook creates a portable throne room where isolation feels absolute and connection feels like oxygen. Its storytelling has embodied rebellion, transforming passive listening into active participation in a love story that refuses to be sanitized. Ultimately, Bargain with Fate redefines paranormal women's fiction by centering female agency within hierarchical frameworks. It satisfies genre cravings for intense chemistry and high-stakes tension while delivering substantive commentary on maternal labor, institutional oppression, and the radical act of building partnerships based on equality rather than destiny. No prior series knowledge is needed. It stands confidently as a complete emotional odyssey. If you've ever wondered whether love can transcend engineered divides, or if true strength requires softness, this audiobook will affirm that sometimes the most powerful act is choosing to be seen, scars and all. Press play, brace against the glitter, and prepare to believe that even in landscapes shaped by deceit, hearts still find ways to choose truth. Your next favorite fae romance isn't waiting in flawless devotion, it's waiting in the brave, trembling choice to speak your real name.